Hello and welcome to the first of many sad realities. No, this does not mean there are multiple channels, but you can expect daily uploads that will likely result in a drastic decrease in your faith in humanity. For better or worse, that's what I have to offer. But I'll get right into it. No edits, no cuts, nothing special. This is a low-end computer, so I can't promise perfection, and the goal is one cut. The obvious exception is I may or may not have tried recording this once before, and the audio was so bad I decided to do it again, because you literally could not hear my voice whatsoever. No scripting outside some prior thoughts of mine. I will rarely finish the game, but the story must be finished at the very least. I also don't expect to regularly make sequels to these stories for the gameplay, but I might if I think the story fits the game. So what's today's topic? Well, I don't know about you, but I might have read the title, or might have come up with it in advance. But I think having a voice is a gift. And for most people, this is the case. Not everyone, maybe, but I started YouTube because I was told that was my gift, and that always has been. Where have I been told this? Well, so many places. I remember taking the SAT in the German classroom, of all places, and this is back in high school. And from there, it was like, oh, hey, you have a nice voice, I guess, told by the teacher there. I haven't even met him, didn't do German, I did Latin in high school. And he was like, you know, maybe you should do something with that. I feel like I could hear your voice on radio. I think literally it was either the same day or a few days after that, it was a haircut, and the lady cutting my hair was like, hey, I feel like I'd hear your voice on radio or something. I was like, really? Wow, no way, that's a crazy coincidence. And pretty much same thing everywhere else. I work in retail, and I hear that every now and then. Although I was also told I could sell like ice to Eskimos and stuff, so I guess that's just what having a voice like this kind of does. So what have I done so far in life with having a voice? Well, truthfully, not much. I mean, I do enjoy telling stories, sitting here and talking with people. So, I suppose doing it alone is always fun as well. But I really enjoyed having one-on-ones with people and telling them a story and something that might change their life, give them good advice, and help them along their way from what I know as a almost 21-year-old in a few days to well, someone who's either slightly older than me with maybe a little less experience, or slightly younger than me, who honestly I feel like I owe everything in the world to because, well, they don't have the time to have that experience, but might as well teach them something before they have to go through whatever I went through. So what's the sad reality to having a voice? It's, well, sometimes we don't use it. I making this channel here just to say, hey, here's a few stories that I think are worth sharing, and they will be kind of sad on occasion. They will make you question, you know, hey, why do we do the things we do? Why is life the way it is? And that's kind of the point. I've always felt like if there was so much good in the world, well, why haven't we seen so much of it? So, might as well make something from it. Puzzle time. So what is my promise for this channel as a whole? Well, honestly, I don't really know. I want to see where I can take it from here. It's a channel that will sort of uninvent itself by means of telling stories and trying to find the greater good in those. But at the same time, it's going to be stuff that's kind of going to put people down, or not down, but it's going to have a downcast mood to all of it. My voice is flat as it is, but it's not going to be all happy dandy. And sure, I can put a face on like that, but there's a point where I'm like, well, I'll save that for another place, but here, might as well just talk and keep it real. So how long do I expect this to last? Well, honestly, as long as I can make it last. I want to do daily uploads on this channel, see how far I can take that. Kind of a new game every day. As I said earlier, I might do sequels, but I'm not entirely sure. I did kind of read through some notes, basically just to say, hey, here's the very basic things I wanted to say with this channel, and just get going from there. But my goal for this was at least one full year, so that's 365 days or something like that. I think it's how many days there are in a year. You think if I went to college for computer engineering and did math, I'd remember that, but not always the case. But I thought this game here would fit this story of having a voice because, well, the main character, Chris, doesn't have a voice, and the channel, being Sad Reality, is, well, a Dark Fountain is making something from nothing, and prophecy here is, you know, you may or may not already know, is not exactly the most fun prophecy. And on the topic of why make a channel alone, why not take friends, especially for someone who I have met a lot of people in life. And while friends are great, I think if you have a real friend, it's someone who really knows you and really wants to go along and see what you're able to make and do and where you'll end up in life. To which I say, either you have all the friends in the world with a very wide scope of that, or maybe you have one or two. Or maybe even zero if your scope's too narrow. But I've always sort of seen that success is very proportional to who you are as a person. It's so hard to trust other people and see where they're able to take things, so I figure, well, I might as well try on my own, set up solo if I can. So back to the full topic of having a voice. I'm just going through my notes here again. Where did I first realize I had something worth saying? I think the truth in that is I don't think most things are worth saying because most things have been said before. But kind of the deeper truth of that is, well, I think as soon as you learn that your words have an impact on someone, as soon as you learn that they hurt, as soon as you learn that they build other people up, that has meaning to it. So, in saying that, it's like a disservice to not build people up with that. Or use your voice for something that truly matters instead of just talking around, screwing around with friends. I love this game, but I'm going to be talking over it for a good part of it, but I might focus on the gameplay because sometimes it is so hard to, like, focus on my conversation and also deal with whatever the heck is going on screen. So who was the first person who really listened to the things I had to say? And, well, I don't know. I can feel like I could go through, through several examples of people that really listen. But might as well have an audience that can do the same, and maybe you could provide something not just for one person, but for everyone. If the goal is to make the world better, then might as well do that to the greatest capacity we can. But the first person who probably really listened, I'd say, was someone I'd worked with for a while, and really considered him to support the things I've done to an extent that I never would have been able to make them without him. He listened, we talked, and I had so much to share, but eventually he sort of gave up on that, and that's totally fine. I think life takes people in different directions. That's kind of the sad reality to it, but it's really hard having someone who listened to that and then decides to walk away. I think that's a bit of a naive truth, is that that will happen in most cases with people as well. Nothing lasts forever. One of my favorite poems is by Robert Frost. It's called Nothing Gold Can Stay. I don't have it memorized, it'd be great if I did for the sake of this video, but unfortunately I don't. I need to actually focus on the gameplay instead of just going through a cutscene. But yeah, I'd say that the first person who listened to that was really an editor of mine who previously worked on YouTube videos with me. This is secondary to that, but I feel like this might actually be greater than the first thing I made. Assuming it lasts, of course, nothing ever really lasts, like I just said. So what did my younger self think I'd be doing with a voice? And I think the truth to that question, just again, read through my notes here. Hopefully this video process will become a little less awkward over time. I'll look back on this video and be like, wow, this sucked compared to what I'm able to make a year from now or 6 months from now. Maybe it's more natural, it flows better. When I was younger, I didn't really... I think I always wanted to do YouTube. I think I didn't understand what exactly that meant for a while. But I'd always kind of had that aspiration, that inspiration, that desire. I think fame definitely plays into it, wanting something like that. That's something I can't deny. I'd love to say that I'm above that, but I'm not. I feel like that's something everyone kind of wants to think about. Gameplay time. Oh wait, it's C to fire. I'm using C to skip all the dialogue so far. Smooth jazz. Very hitless. 2 recruits. Wow, T rank. Amazing. When I was younger, I thought I would probably end up doing, well, computer engineering, stuff like that. Tech. I've always been decent with tech. Really enjoyed tech for a while. But I think I learned going through college that, well, I like talking with people. I like doing things in the world that kind of make a difference. I'm sure you can do that on a computer, but I've always felt like, well, I just like talking with people, chatting, having a powwow, and figuring stuff out. Like this puzzle, we're figuring stuff out. Always loved games though, like from a young age. DS was always my thing. Then got a 3DS, loved the Pokemon games, and I feel like I was decent at them. I'd always just sweep with one Pokemon, usually the starter, of course. And, I can get 2 of these at a time. Amazing. Would do that. I had, what, Spirit Tracks was one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games on the DS, although I really liked, it was, Skyward Sword on the Wii. Wii? So Wii U. I think it was Wii. It's definitely one of my favorite games for Legend of Zelda. Oh, dang it, took a hit. I'm not the best sharpshooter. And then one last tech phase. But yeah, I always thought I was going to be in tech and stuff. Never really knew. I feel like it's one of those things where everyone goes through high school, and they're just like, well, I don't know what to do with my time, with my life, whatever. And there's always something to do, it's just a matter of what's the best thing to do, what's the most optimal, you know, for speedrunning through. There's a bridge to the left there, I just noticed that. I'm not sure how to get to it necessarily. Quiz time. Hopefully I don't fail these awfully. There's someone that says it's TV time so much, surprised it's Tenna. Is it the Marvelous Mystery Board? Lancer. Yay, gameplay. Hopefully the audio's not too quiet. When I first recorded all this, it was way too loud. And now it might be too quiet, but I know my voice also sits at a range where it kind of sucks for recording because it kind of gets drowned out, even when I'm talking with people in retail. They're like, hey, could you speak up a little bit, especially the older folk, a little bit more hard of hearing. But my voice doesn't quite fit perfectly in a range where it's audible, so I changed my voice and I can do that for retail. Or other things. Just not sure if an exaggeration is the word, or just a slight change of it for that sake. But, I guess on that topic, you know, with a voice like that, you can sell stuff to people. And you can set it down here, but you can also throw emotion to it, you can throw some intrigue, some interest, get a lot of commission sales, and do that for a living, which I'd say I do. Do I enjoy it? To an extent, yeah, it's pretty good. I feel like there's not many better things to do, especially for someone who dropped out of college, right? Might as well be serving people with my time. But I'm betting someone's gonna do a no-hit of, like, the entirety of chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune, just give it enough time. Keep it up, guys. 9. So, one of the funny things with this is, with having a voice, you know, you can choose to use it or not use it, and the days where we don't use it, you just kind of sit here by yourself and, well, not really do too much. I mean, you can play games all day. Idle Wizard's one of the fun ones I've always been enjoying, or been enjoying for a good while, I suppose. Kind of wondering if there's a safe space if I just hug the top of that. Suppose there's not. No, we do. The funny around the world attack. Around the world. And man, I hate Tenna. This guy sucks. And rules cards here now. If only I could just manipulate the weather like this so it would stop raining here. We've had so much rain here, it's been way too much. But yeah, on the topic of wasting so much time, I recorded the first iteration of this like 2 days ago, then yesterday I was like, I'm tired. And today I'm just like, I just gotta start, if I've got 1 year to make something, then got as well start it, make it happen. You can't just sit there and do nothing. Especially if I don't want to do retail forever. I mean, if I want to do YouTube, then I might as well act like it. Put my time into it, sink some time into it. I guess that is kind of the cost to it as well, is if you're not using your voice, if you're not using the gifts you have, then, well, your life will go down a drastically different path. Hopefully, not for the worse, but hopefully, the outcome that we have can very much be determined by what we do with our time, who we are, the execution of the various things we think. It's TV time! $32 MSRP. So I don't know what MSRP means. I feel like I should know that if I work in retail, like something regional price maybe. Pies, Chris's favorite food. I didn't read the question, I was looking at the answers here. So, if, you do have a gift, then, well, what would be the downsides to that? It might make it hard to use a gift. Well, lots of things get in the way, like I said earlier, time, and... I already did all these puzzles. All the backtracking and not being able to figure out what I'm doing. But, the thing I wrote down here, it says dumb in an arrow pointing to this. It says, I've been muted by shame before, and I'm like... That seems so generic. What is wrong? The head is not, that's not right. So it is random, because I've done this a few times and I wasn't sure. So the first time I did it was legs. This guy's name is Pippins. It's awful guy. Or Mike if it's the green one, if you know about that secret. Lucina main. But yeah, being muted by shame. I'm like, what's the idea there when I wrote that down? And sometimes, I love writing things down and just being like, I have no idea what this was. Or setting a reminder for myself, and then being like, well, that's such a great reminder. I have no clue what that was about. Sometimes it's like birthdays, and then I'll be like, well, whose birthday was it if I had it written down? I don't know. Crazy concept. But, muted by shame. I suppose, I remember when I was younger, I think the key's in here, right? Yeah. Pick it up, Susie. I'll save at least 1,500 points for the S rank if I don't get it, because I know I suck at these sometimes. But enough, usually it's the minigame I struggle the most with in these. I don't even know how long this video is going to last, just until I run out of bullet points to talk about. When I was in elementary school, I was the kid that got bullied a lot. There were these two kids who I was like, man, I really wanted to hang out with them, so I thought they were cool, but they really didn't want me, and I think maybe that was why I thought they were cool, is because they didn't want me. I'm not sure how to describe that, but it's like, everyone struggling with the concept that someone might not want you. And it's like, well, I can be everyone's friend, right? And no, not really. If only, right? As part of all that, the next bullet point I have written down here as well. Are there people that I haven't spoken up for? Are there people that need to be spoken up for more? And I don't know. That's something I've thought, oh my gosh, I suck at this. This is why I'm not getting the S rank. Purple egg. Milk. And jump over that fire, just barely. The controls in this are a little janky. It's not perfect, but I like the walking animation. It's a little goofy. 56, let's go. Oh, -4. Yeah, I'm gonna try focusing up here a little bit. The smidgen. How many times do I have for her to run through this and then she runs off screen? Let's hit Z, not X there? Dang it, whatever. This is a fun minigame though. Toby did a great job with Chapter 3, bro cooked. Special guest. Wow, that was the worst possible outcome there. Me missing that, then getting hit by the fire. Fantastic. Nice bullet point. There are people I never spoke up for, and I'm like, okay, what could that possibly mean? And something I came to realize was, I think actually that's not the truth, is it's that we didn't speak up for people. I think sometimes people don't speak up for themselves, because if we do, then we kind of deprive them of the experience of learning, of growing, doing all these other things. And sure, I remember looking back and thinking, oh yeah, there were people I should have stood up for more, stuff like that. But sometimes there's not much we can do, and they'll figure stuff out on their own time. Which plays really well in the next bullet point, of everyone having a voice but not everyone being heard. Because sure, there are plenty of people out there, but not everyone is heard. There's a lot of people that lurk in the shadows, especially, you know, you run a Discord server, right? And a lot of people just don't talk, they just kind of linger, not much really happens. And that's it. Free item. Oh, hi, Lancer. Let's do the thing. Funny cutscene. I've considered speedrunning this game. I used to kind of do that while I was in school, like high school. Because I was really bored, so what I did was I put a bunch of games on a flash drive, right? And just brought them in school, had them on school laptops. Screwed around with that, see what I could do. And that was kind of one of the funny fascinations with tech, was just seeing just how much I could do with that. And, well, now that I was in college, dropped out of college, and I'm here now, then... it's fun. He sucks, whatever. Suppose that's just where life takes us. Ready. There are voices that never get to speak, and sometimes that matters. I really wonder about the people that do just lurk, and they don't really say much, but they do have feelings, and they do think about things. Like, main character syndrome I think is so funny or so weird, because there's so many people that just, they want to be the guy, and I wish I was the guy. I feel like I am some days, but other days it's not really. I have no idea what any of that means, but try the best we can. The game soft locker? Huh. I did Z there progress instead of just spamming C or holding C. I don't know, maybe I did something. Windig. Pacify. Hey, amazing. Throw the binoculars into the ocean. The other point I have here is a lot of people, some people speak really loudly, but sometimes it never say anything, or sometimes it doesn't mean anything. One of the funny things I remember reading on it, this is the Bible, if this was wherever, and you're gonna probably learn as this channel goes on, I'm pretty religious. The less the words, the more the meaning. And it's kind of funny, because I feel like the greater irony in that is, well, me sitting here trying to talk for half an hour, 40 minutes, is sort of diluting the meaning of any of these words, but I hope it means something to someone. I don't know what this room's for. I have the camera now, though. Wow, a power up. Some people speak, but say nothing. Some people speak and say everything, and it's just a very few words. It's kind of crazy to think about, too, because, well, it's Ruben. Amazing. I've said that a lot so far. Repeated words, phrases, random YouTube channels you take inspiration from or watch. Goblin versus damage amplification. If you know, you know. Hopefully there will be those 1 or 2 people that do know. Sometimes voices hurt, sometimes voices heal. And I think, even in this game too, Susie and Ralph say in Chapter 4 there's that clash of who gets to heal, which I think's interesting. But, I think there's a lot of hurt in the world, and I really wish there was a way to resolve that perfectly. I need to pick up that. Dang it, I screwed that up already. No! I can see the beach under that. This. There we go. Attaboy. Wow, fantastic. The pizza deodorant. That's funny. I always pick up the ribbon here, and I haven't tested what the pizza deodorant does if you make Susie pick it up. I guess Chris is controlling everything, or Susie is, or whatever. That's such a big thing in this game too, is control, or who's in charge, whatever. I think the prophecy in Chapter 4 kind of hints that the player will end up controlling Susie after a certain point, which I think would be very interesting. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? I love Undertale. I think the next few videos I do make, though, it'll be other random stuff, like BTD6 is what I have planned for tomorrow. Because why? Well, that video is called Critical Thinking, and I think it'd be funny if I did either an Odyssey or Chimps. Haven't really quite decided yet. But just talking about why it pisses me off in school, how we're taught critical thinking without being taught how to think critically. And then also the idea that, yeah, I can still pick things up. Or the controller switch back? They're not. I'm just screwing around for the moment. Especially when it's like, in school, okay. It's long ago. Let's just go through this as slowly as possible. Let's pick up every weed along the way. Read the dialogue and do this and that and this and that. You got this, Rouse, you can figure it out. Bit of a boomer. Oh, here's an interesting bullet point. Words living longer than the body that says them. So the kind of the idea that now with like the internet, whatever, quotes, history books, the things that we say mean much more than just who we are. So leaving a legacy, leaving, you know, having words to say. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a picture I was supposed to take. I'm not supposed to be player one, because Rouse doesn't like... Everything has to be exactly as it was foretold. I wonder if he has like OCD or something, like if that's our... That's the Rouse. I don't even know what I'm saying. Out in the bomb section. So leaving a legacy was something I've always thought about, especially just as a statement of what we do with our time and what's worth doing, what's not worth doing. I think there's a special thing here. The red one. There we go. Random pictures, why not? Why do we do the things we do, but then not think about what happens after that, especially when it comes to people, for example? I feel like there's so many people in life that sometimes we ought to treat them better, whatever, but then on the flip side, here's a line of thought I've had as well. Sometimes people don't learn unless they are hurt, until they are hurt, until they experience something that, honestly, maybe they shouldn't experience, but that sucks, honestly. But that's kind of true at the same time, maybe. Maybe that's just the cynicist view of it I have. Maybe that's just the sad reality, one might say. one thing I find very interesting is you can very much tell when someone means something by how they say it, not necessarily just what they're saying. And though, yeah, the key doesn't actually do anything, because it's not like there are keys in this. A funny cactus. There we go, and then you go up to the shrine. But you can tell when someone actually means something by the way they say it, what they're saying, all of that, and how important it is to them. And you can also tell just how hurt sometimes people are when they say stuff. For me, I've always felt very emotionally detached from a lot. I feel like you can go so far away in this game, just find random stuff. I can't remember which way was the right way. I was like half paying attention when I first played this and just kind of went in circles until I found stuff. I do remember this part, the funny, goofy heart. So peak. Thank you, Toby, for having amazing humor. They're gonna do the funny thing. Tropic of Love. So I guess sort of the antithesis of having a voice, or, you know, what we do without a voice. Is there something nice about silence? Is there something nice about sitting there and doing nothing? When I first started doing stuff, the truth to that was no. I was so bored. I was bored out of my mind. I just wanted to do something, to make something, because it felt like I hadn't been doing anything. So I remember back in high school, I didn't really have too many friends. So instead what I did was I was like, okay, let's just go out and find people on the internet. Find a Discord server, make a Discord server, screw around, learn something about myself. And I guess we're here now. I'm not sure if I really learned anything either. Is the funny... I know this guy does something at some point, like this is an encounter. Like he wants you to take a picture or something. Yay! La Niño. Yep, there we go. The final photo. Oh yeah, I gotta get them all together. Yay! But silence a good thing. Is sitting there idly a good thing? I think there's no such thing as wasted time, but I also disagree with that statement. I think there is power photo, extra mercy 25, fast photo. Full body photo of anyone. Nice. Great shot! It's kind of gonna focus up here. I really like this enemy's gimmick, though. I've always thought this was such a cool thing, like freezing the bullets, stuff like that. It's insane to me that Toby could find ways to reinvent the, like, concepts and stuff with how much fan stuff there is out there for his games and all that. It's just crazy, because it's gotta take a lot to be able to do that. I'm trying to graze a little too hard, then I end up missing. Get the tongue in there. Great shot. Oh yeah, freezing stuff. Freeze. And yeah, let's reuse bullets from other enemies in another chapter. That's the real Rousey. My name is Rousey. I'm a ba. I drive a Mercedes-Benz. What's her name? Mercedes-Benz. Wow, I'm actually sucking so hard this fight. So mid. It's fair. defend. Yay! Ouch! 8 hertz. That sucks. And just close, back to Lover's Peak. And then the rules card shows up. So with having a voice, you know, much like this game, you've got dialogue options. Sometimes it's hard to tell the truth, sometimes it's hard to admit the truth or to say things truthfully. And what I find really interesting about that is that's always the most important thing, I think, is being honest and figuring stuff out. But at the same time, it's really easy to run from that reality. Speaking of being honest, we have our 2 characters here that could never quite figure things out. That's when we were joking about this. I was like, how long is his controller wire? When I was younger, I don't remember what it was, like a PlayStation 2, PS3, whatever. But so my parents had one. Oh, that pedestal's not over there. That's interesting. Back when they were dating, there's this game I would play, or they'd play, called Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I love this game. I played it when I was younger. Probably I was too young to be able to play it because of how, you know, you kill a bunch of enemies, blood, whatever. I don't know. But I pulled the PlayStation over because I got too far away. I was trying to like sit on the couch, but the controller wire wasn't quite that long, and just completely messed it up. And I can't remember if it wouldn't turn on after that, but yeah, that was peak. And time to focus up on rhythm game. Loved rhythm games, by the way. I've really played Osu. I played a little bit of Osu, I think. Like, I had a friend who brought it over to my house on a flash drive and was like, hey, yo, you gotta play this, you gotta play this. It's TV time! Yeah, that's the story of how I just wrote a PlayStation on accident and then didn't play anything. It's crazy to me because, like, I wasn't really a console gamer. I've always been a PC gamer, but I have used a console on occasion. Had some friends' houses I used to go over play Minecraft on. And me talking about playing rhythm games, being like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, then only a 9 combo and like literally the world's easiest FNF or whatever. Which I never really played FNF, but that was a really cool concept, and the community had to go and you know, if you know, you know. I have heard some mention that it might not have just been the community, but some weird inspirations from game developers and character designs and stuff, so who knows? Truth's out there, I suppose. Go digging far enough, but never thought it was the most important thing for me to figure out. I love rhythm games. It's rhythm game time! Aw. I wonder if the song will end up coming back in like a later chapter or something, so I feel like everything in this game is self-referential to a degree. I think that's also what kind of makes it amazing, is it's a universe that's self-contained, but also like, Toby Fox knows what he's doing when he teases stuff in the community and everything else in between. It's so peak. Lightner's live. A rank, B rank, S rank. 8 mocks. Amazing. The S rank. Good job. Fantastic. So where was I? Oh yeah, with avoiding honesty and stuff like that. The follow-up to that was, well, in life, sometimes we kind of learn what to say because it's easier than what we shouldn't say. For example, parents. I feel like every kid kind of understands this. That, well, you know, parents are great. I love mine. They do things that they should do, and sometimes we don't really understand that or value it for what it is. But at the exact same time, you also understand that they're not perfect. They've, uh, you know, thoughts and feelings and do stuff that's not exactly perfect. So we say things that aren't quite 100% true or 100% perfect, and, well, that's just kind of the way it goes. The last part, I feel like, the last bullet point, oh my gosh. It's crazy, because I remember writing these things, and then, like, you forget the things you write, and then you dig it up again, and it's, wow, these things, I relate to them, because it was written by me. Crazy, right? Lying by omission and lying through tone. So, with parents, with whatever, not saying the full story, not figuring things out completely. Let me teleport. I don't remember what to do in this part of the game, honestly. I'm just kind of screwing around until I figure it out. I know there's the Pippin's guy down here for the S rank. I think you can buy for 1,500 points or something like that. Without the points was like the whole unique currency system. Very interesting. Toxic Axe, the Saber 10, the Flex Scarf, the TV slot. Slop. Welcome to TikTok or YouTube Shorts or anything in between. I really use TikTok myself. Well, that's not true. I use YouTube Shorts on occasion, but it's just like, I was bored in college, and then I would do that. Scratching at the door. Insane. Maybe I should, like, actually read the dialogue instead of... Okay, maybe this will change things. Rose having his crash out. On the internet, there are so many voices, but sometimes it's hard to figure out which ones to listen to, or sometimes you listen to none of them. And with there being so many people, I feel like it's so easy to feel lonely because, you know, crowds are huge, right? There's just so much. Can you go after him? It's funny, I was like, I should read the dialogue, and I'm just not even reading the dialogue either. That's peak. What do I do? What do I do? Oh, well, there's that, I suppose. Well, let's get a big TP, and then the game gets kind of loud. This is the part where you start breaking and attend his headquarters or something. I'm really curious how fast you can sort of, like, narrow this down to. I know there's, like, a whole password here. Isn't it literally 231 or something? Or is it 312? Or does it change? Let's play the game the way it's intended and figure it out. So yeah, it's 213. Am I crazy? Maybe I just didn't do that. Yeah, I just did that earlier. I think I did 231. It's like having memory that's close enough, but just not quite it. Oh yeah, my next bullet point here, just while I'm skipping through dialogue. Oh yeah, that's the whole existential crisis, whatever. But YouTube algorithms, the internet, whatever, having this sense of rewarding noise and just how loud someone can be, but not necessarily truth or how good something is or how worthwhile it is, just because you can know how to gain a system. And does that make you right for doing so? I mean, if it's a game to play, then might as well play it. But, can I gimmick this one again? I don't have to do this again. Oh well. Need to find the way to the box. I cannot remember where it is. There's only a few rooms that... There we go. Yay. Oh, it's the... what is it, the 1225? It's funny too, because if you have like a flawless memory, you'll remember like parts of these, just individual parts, or like... Gosh, I remember back in middle school... was it middle school or high school? Some like the multiple choice questions, the test. You just remember like itty bitty parts of things, but not quite everything about it, just the small things. There's the dark fountain. There's the Gatorade geyser. It's grape flavored, I suppose. There they are. Technical difficulties. That's what I feel like when I'm trying to talk sometimes. This is the part where we get banished to hell or whatever. But yeah, on the internet, sometimes it feels like we are so connected, but also so distant, muted, whatever. And sometimes it's really hard to find people that you connect with deeply, and I think a lot of people would reckon, oh, you could do that with just people you know, people you find IRL, but I feel like that's not always the right answer, because the truth to people on the internet is they're the same people you would meet in real life. It's just in a different platform. You can hide your face, hide your identity, hide every part of who you are, but it's still the... Of course. Fun meter is decaying. A very special battle. All you have to do is win. I love TV. I remember the first time I did this, everyone resisted, whatever. But now we don't have to take a bunch of damage. It's like you have two options here, sort of, but not really either. Skip all of the dialogue. But in a few ways, this channel is kind of like a confrontation with silence, with the things we do, but not really mean anything, but also, hey, let's just talk about things that I find interesting, I hope the rest of the internet finds interesting, but are also kind of meaningful and might actually change the way we live our lives. I think the hardest thing to do with information like this, conversation like this, is actually find some sort of meaningful change from it. But I think that can happen if, well, you think about it, it's on your mind, and then, most importantly, there's a little bit of death to self. Never thrown away. Bro's getting depressed. Something all the secret bosses have in common is that they all kind of get thrown away, and I think that's something a lot of people noticed. You're fired. I'm more that guy. But as part of having a legacy of voice, all of this, in some ways, it's to remember things, and you put this out on the internet and see, hey, what'll come with it, and what if you do this daily? Just see what happens. See where stuff goes. Because yeah, like I said earlier, retail is great. Everyone I've ever talked with who have helped bring out at the front are like, once you leave retail, you're never gonna want to go back. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of true. Let's never press it button. That's the off button. But yeah, I need to find better games to play that I can actually focus on the topic, whatever. I was screwing around with ChatGPT and I was like, hey, what are some good games to just talk about stuff with, whatever. And I was like, yeah, don't pick anything that's hard to focus on. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. This AI's our overlord and tells us everything to do. Let me turn it off. They disappear. Wow, they're gone. That's sort of that funny stealth section that got omitted, but if you check the newsletters, you'd kind of know. There was some OSTs that got cut just because stealth sucks and like gameplay loops and stuff. But I also feel like with channels like this too, it's like, hey, sometimes we ought to talk and stuff before we can't anymore, I am 20, like I said earlier, almost 21 in a few days. And, well, life's short. Got a number of days. It's not like... There may be a day when eventually you wouldn't be able to go back and say the things we want to say, or look at things with the same way we ought to. So, I feel like, in some ways, well, that's a way to use your voice, and something we ought to try to do at the very least. This section. I'm gonna just spam this, and it kind of just works. Like, if you just keep spamming Z, it's like, wow, it's not even gameplay. Round clear. Amazing. But what happens to videos where no one watches? Well, it's true but not true, because someone watches, and I've got a video planned where I'm going to talk about dead internet theory or dead internet reality, because it's kind of the truth of the world we live in. But, also, wait, I need to go down from here. Hold on. I can't remember. Memory loss sucks. I think it's steal the Lancer controller. I don't need the revivement later. I'm probably not even make it to the end of the chapter anyways, because I'm almost running out of things to talk about here. If no one watches, it's like, well, does the video just go to die? No, not really, but you gotta start with those 1 or 2 people that do check things out, It's not a matter of who watches, but, well, the people you might be talking to that it might make a difference for. And kind of the truth of that, too, is everything, like I said earlier, the funny poem. Quiz time, reward for C rank, cooler. Yeah, we're ready. The green room, concessions, RAM? I was like, it's I think wrong, that sounds more like bomb, but I feel like I would have made fun of it for sounding like bomb earlier. I think I'm gonna go to the right, not the left. Chris's last name, Dreamer. Gamer, memer, big dreamer. Yeah, we're ready. Rank on board 1, S. We smashed it, crushed it, killed it. Is there anything over here worth grabbing? Treasure chest, maybe? Oh, yeah, it's not like... Okay, I didn't even pick up the Lancer controller anyways, so it doesn't matter. Well, like the poem said earlier, everything does kind of eventually fade into obscurity, and, like Mr. Tenno's experiencing here, I Everything will eventually perish one day. But that doesn't mean we can't make something of it while we have it. And even like many of the big YouTubers, they'll look back and sometimes when they're venting, they'll talk about how their videos made an impact on someone or how they helped them. And I think there's something to want to aspire to do and all that. If I sharpshoot. 100, and then the last one. I think if we just click the spare button without them being ready to spare, it increases mercy by 5%, which means I wouldn't quite touch green for mercy. What I'm gonna do is this. Oh no, but that uses 2 actions. Is there a way to solve this? If I do this, spare that one. Oh, well no, because I need 3 spares anyway, so it's not like it really matters. Give 150 points. I'm just gonna do the fun way. Sharpshoot the last one. Oh, that just recruited him flat out. That's interesting. I didn't realize that was an interaction that could occur. You just shoot him that many times. It's funny. But so, will this voice be different in a year? And I'm not talking like the pitch of the voice, the depth, but I am curious how much these conversations will change a year from now in uploading this, the quality, the whatever. And of course I am doing this with a quality expectation of 0, just sitting here talking, and maybe it means something to someone, maybe you just put it in the background, and it's nice to listen to, I guess. That's a speedrun. Stealth zone being the fast zone. Not today, not today. Does he come back? Wait. He does, dang it. Mercy by mashing. Only 64%. Well, that works. If it works, it works. The other thing, too, with having a channel like this is it's like, hey, having a voice, whatever. Might as well make something, and I feel like a lot of people have this feeling that they ought to do something with their lives, but don't always know what. And in some ways, it does kind of satiate that. But, I think with that, this is probably the most anticlimactic ending, but, it's 64%. That's really all I have to offer with it, so not really finishing the gameplay. I would have loved to get to the final fight in this, because it's so cool, the Roaring Knight, all that, but I don't have too much else to offer, so with that, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe BTD6 Chimps, maybe I'll figure out some other games, Path of Exile I might put on the list, talk about stuff, because I think it's interesting, like gambling in games, building, crafting, coming up with stuff, gameplay development, making an original and then a sequel that kind of falls off, stuff like that, but yeah, with all that said, I'm gonna stop playing here so I can not really outro it, but I will say the last thing here being, if I am building a channel from this, it will sort of uninvent itself by the product of maybe greatness and seeing something from a channel, which is by design. If reality is a tragedy, but maybe greatness will be seen from that, so. Thanks for watching, check back tomorrow for yet another sad reality. Thank you, and have a good rest of your night.